Hello, this is Carlos Samaniego with TaxDebt Live, coming to you from Redlands, California, on a Friday afternoon, Friday, May 8th. Looking forward to talking to you. We just had Andrew here a second ago, and he disappeared. Andrew, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I guess I just lost connection with my camera as soon as we started. Here we
there
go.
You are. There you go. There's Andrew. Happy Friday, Andrew.
Yeah, happy Friday. It's been a long week.
Yeah. I love this episode because Andrew's doing this as a favor because he's getting ready to jump on a cruise tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we're jumping on a cruise. It's gonna have a lot of fun going down to Mexico.
Nice. Getting get a little getaway before he's officially moved up to Monterey.
That's right. Trying to get our last minute tan in before we head up there at the end of the month. So it's gonna be great.
That's awesome. Well, Andrew, it's been a busy week. Obviously, fighting the IRS here, or I shouldn't say fighting the IRS, but representing clients who have IRS problems. And this week, I kind of wanted to talk about a story. If you're on our email list or on our social media, we've been talking about a huge story that came out with the IRS, and the whole story was literally about how IRS. I'm just going to show you the dang story. I'm not even tell you. This is the story, Andrew, that, let's go back here. I guess I should show you the story that I'm talking about. Here we go. This is a story that the most IRS staff involuntarily detained. Most of our IRS staff was involuntarily, and here's the big one, Andrew, involuntarily detained for taxpayer services and put on extended tour of duty. Almost sounds like they're in the military, Andrew.
Yeah, it does sound like military. They call it the needs of the Navy. This is going to be the needs of the IRS.
So basically, the gist of this entire story was the IRS earlier this year had to pull 1,500 IT and human resource employees. So basically, the people fixing the computers, right, and people probably dealing with payroll. Andrew, they had to pull out their employees for a 120-day work detail, basically to help process tax returns.
Well,
kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, you're gonna have your geek squad making sure your tax returns are right. So that's gonna be an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, and I talked about it in my recent email where imagine, there's a lot of you, Andrew, and I know you have a few people because I know you've asked me a couple times, like the situation is that, you have people that mailed in returns, whether it was an amended return or a lot of times if your return's over 3 years old, you got to mail them in.
Right.
And we're waiting and waiting. And typically we tell people it's going to take, 3 to 6 months sometimes to get these processed, because we already know the IRS tends to be a little bit slower of a government agency to get things done.
Right.
But it seems like the IRS's staff has been so dramatically reduced over the last, 6 months to within this last year, right, that they didn't have enough people to help process returns. So as Andrew said, they actually called the geek squad in and some human resource people in there to help prepare tax returns.
Yeah, and I actually called them. I called a revenue officer one day, and I was asking him because we had this client who submitted, there was 6 years of returns. They were all substitute for returns, and it's been like 6 months, 6 to 8 months, and we're like, okay, what's going on? So we actually called that specific division who replaces those substitute returns. And apparently, like, most of them got fired, and they have like 10 people working there. And I had them check, like, hey, was this return, like, do you have it? And it basically took a while, and they actually eventually sorted them through. It's like, yeah, we have it. It's in queue, but we don't know when it's going to be done. And so now these substitute returns are taking forever to go through.
Yeah, that's just nuts, right, Andrew? I mean, and it's just sad. I mean, I'm looking at this highlighted here. It says they have a huge backlog of amended returns that need to be processed. It just looks like even the IRS people are saying they're unsatisfied with their. Well, you know what? They're doing a job that they weren't hired to do, and they're stressing out about that. Basically.
Yeah, it's just like any government job, especially the military. You know, you sign up to do this one job, and then all of a sudden you got more collateral duties, and a part of your job description is also to help your boss, and so that basically means you do whatever your boss tells you. And for them, it seems like HR and IT people doing tax returns. So government jobs are like that, and you know they're going to be overwhelmed with extra work, and know what happens when they're overwhelmed? They eventually quit. And so we're going to see a whole bunch of chaos within the IRS these next couple of months.
That's just nuts, and that's coming to you from somebody that worked with the largest government, one of the largest government agencies in the U.S., the United States Navy. So he's telling you right from the firsthand experience what it's like to be in charge of a department and saying, you know what, you got to do this. In fact, Andrew, when I was reading the story, it said one of the employees says, our team is about as far removed from ever doing any type of tax work possible. And that comes back to like the amount of mistakes that can potentially happen. And we both are seeing this, right? I'm actually seeing this right now. I hadn't even talked to you about this, Andrew. We did an offer and compromise for somebody, and it came back with a denial letter. And for those of you that don't know what an offer and compromise is when we're trying to settle tax debt for somebody for a specific amount of money. So you owe a lot of money, you're trying to get a reduced amount. And we got the rejection letter from the IRS saying that we're rejecting it based on these reasons. And I'm literally reading the letter, Andrew. I'm like, they're wrong. They're not even following their own rules. So I had sent them a fax saying, hey, your reasoning behind this is absolutely wrong. We want a reconsideration. And then she calls me back up and says, no, I'm not wrong, but my manager says we'll take a look at it. Well, she said that, and I was expecting, she said she'd call me back within the week. And then a few weeks went by, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? So I text her. I'm like, hey, if you're going to deny this based on the reason that you're denying it, I'd like to go ahead and file an appeal. And then she responded back in the fax, well, we haven't officially denied it. We're taking we're re-examining the issues that you're bringing up. So and this is one thing, is that when you get an offer in compromise, and I tell my clients this all the time, when you get an offer in compromise, don't be surprised if you get a denial for incorrect reasons or incorrect calculations that they actually calculated. So you got to really look at that offer, look at how they came up with their numbers, look at your numbers and how you came up with your numbers, because I've won multiple cases in appeals on an offer in compromise because what they're saying does not match with the story that I gave them. So again, and now that I'm seeing things like this, they're bringing in staff, and I'm not saying they're bringing in staff for offers or anything else, but it starts to make you wonder what other challenges are going on in different departments at the IRS.
Right. And I've been seeing, actually recently just did an email on this, but in 2024, I think the acceptance rate for offer and compromises were less than 40%. And so you're seeing a lot of these being rejected. And it's mainly because people will just apply just to see if they will. But, you know, they have a very specific formula that they follow. And so many people don't qualify for this specific program. And then also I hear that one of the reasons they're firing a lot of these people is that they're now implementing AI within their collection process. A lot of people are getting a lot more notices faster. They're getting automatically levied faster. It's becoming a whole new thing. And so, but with all this new AI help, what don't you have? You don't have people at the IRS collections office answering the phone, and that's why people are on like hold for hours. And most of the time they get dropped. And we're just seeing a whole circle of problems within the IRS right now.
No, you're 100% right. And the other thing too, you know, obviously I'm hyping on the IRS. We just noticed this yesterday. Liz, my wife and operations manager, basically she runs the operation here, right? She was talking to the state of California, and she was trying to set up a really basic a renewal of a hardship. So
Okay.
basically, the state of California and the IRS both have the ability that if you don't have the ability to make a payment, that they will actually put you in a hardship so you don't have to make a payment. So we were talking to the state of California, and we were just giving them the individual's numbers, housing, utilities, basic information, and the individual was actually taking what they're called IRS allowable expenses. They're basically, the state of California says, hey, if you're just taking the IRS allowable expenses, we'll give it to you. We're not going to question it.
Mhm.
Well, this person specifically stated that, well, no, you can't do that. I want the exact number on every one of these line items here, and then I want proof on that. And when I overheard that, I'm like, what do you mean you can't do that? And then I had to go double check the state of California's franchise tax rulings, and she was 100% incorrect. They have to take that. So this is a perfect example of not just the IRS, but state agencies are doing the same thing. And maybe they got people that just don't know what the rules are. And if you're a tax professional watching this, you understand more than anybody. A lot of times, sometimes we got to teach them the rules on or procedures that they're supposed to be following, because sometimes, just because, again, this is one of my favorite sayings, just because they say it's so, it's not necessarily so. We got to just double check their work.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point. It's just many people, including the IRS, don't know how the IRS rules work. And so that's why it's important that you find someone, one, who specializes in tax, but two, who specializes in tax representation, resolution, helping people with tax problems, because these rules are very specific and we see them every day. Whereas obviously these new IT, HR employees, new hires at the IRS don't know anything. And so they're trying to follow a checklist on the fly. And so when they get any kind of pushback, it's always, let me talk to my manager, which is my second point here, is always, if you know the rules and the IRS is saying otherwise, you always got to escalate it. And it's something that we specialize in when we talk to the IRS.
100%. And that's why a lot of times when we're dealing with your tax issue, one of the first things that we do once we start dealing with that individual, we try to get we always try to get their manager's phone number right away. Do that on that initial call. And here's the reason you want to start doing that. If you don't do that, is because at least if they start going sideways on you, or they disappear on you, or they're on vacation, or whatever, or they get fired or they quit, at least you have somebody you can call to follow up on that case. So that's always a big one. So with that, Andrew, I'm going to go to let's go to questions that got throughout the week. And this is actually a perfect question that's perfect for our two topics, as we're talking IRS and the Franchise Tax Board, or CaliClaw. Again, and if you don't have the book, Shut Down CaliClaw, you can always pick that up. Link's going to be in the description here. Shut Down CaliClaw. But the question came out, Carlos, I owe both the IRS and the FTB. Which one do I fight first? One of the best questions out there, and it's an important question, especially if you're in a state that has a state collection agency like the Franchise Tax Board. Obviously the people that live in states that don't have state income taxes, you guys are blessed. But if you live in a state like California, to answer that question specifically, you know what? Here's the thing you want to do. You want to work them both at the same time, but a lot of times you're going to resolve the state issue much faster and before the IRS. And Andrew, and the reasoning that we do that is because when people call our office, and I would imagine this happens with you, Andrew, right? They're calling, it's like, I'm calling you about my IRS problem. Or they could be calling, the IRS took money out of my bank account and I need help. And Andrew, and I told you this, right? What do I say when they say the IRS took money out? Especially if you live in California.
Yeah, you tell them to, one, look at your bank account and see, like, who does it say took the money out of your account? And usually it's always the Franchise Tax Board.
Franchise Tax Board. CaliClaw got them. The claw got them. Somebody called me the other day, Andrew, they literally said, Carlos, the claw got me. I started cracking up. So I knew what they meant. Yeah. To answer that question, and when somebody calls me and they say that I have an IRS problem, I always and people are always shocked, and I'll talk to them about their IRS problem. But the next question that comes out of my mouth is they don't already know what's going on with the state of California, and they're always like, "Well, what about the state of California?" And I'm like, "Well, if you lived in California, there's a very good chance if you owe money to IRS that you possibly owe money to the state of California, and if that is the case, we want to go deal with the state of California as fast as possible." Because my experience, it's my personal experience specializing our practices, both me and Andrew, we specialize in dealing with the state of California's collection division. Here's the thing that we understand is that they're not keen on cancel. A couple of important things with California. They don't like doing offers and compromise. Do they have them available? Yes. Is it hard to get one approved? 1,000%. I have not seen one personally approved in all the years I've done this with the state of California. Have not seen one done. 2, the state of California has got a minimum of 20 years to collect on a tax debt. That's the statute of limitations. That means they can collect that tax debt for 20 years, and they got a long laundry list of items that will add time to the collection of that tax debt, including doing an installment agreement with the IRS, or correction, with the state of California. What does that basically mean? Let's just say you owe $10,000 to the state of California, and they got 15 years to collect on that debt, right? As an example, the minute you get in an installment agreement, let's just say you're on it for 5 years, it adds another 5 years to that 15 years. So every month you're on the installment agreement extends the time that they can actually collect.
Yeah. So in summary, California, that's not going anywhere.
That's the simplest way to resolve it. If you got a state of California franchise tax debt, it ain't going anywhere. So we got to deal with it first. The state of California, the other thing that state of California, if you got a tax debt with them, they can cancel your driver's license. They can take away your occupational license. So if you have a state license with the state of California, things like nursing degrees, cosmetologist, insurance agent, real estate agent, any California license, they can actually take away your license for your tax. They can take away your ability to make a living. Blows my mind. What else? Am I missing anything else, Andrew? So we got occupational license, we got driver's license, we got the 20-year statute. Now, here's the thing that's great with California, and they're really good at this. If you don't have the ability to pay, California is really good at doing a financial hardship and getting into a financial hardship. They're really good at doing that. So that's a great option. But again, what's the negative of that option, Andrew?
You got penalties and interest.
Penalties and interest keep on accruing.
Yep.
That penalty pig just it just keeps on getting bigger there, right?
Right.
So that is an option. Installment agreements. They're good at getting people in installment agreements based on your ability to pay. Oh, you just thought it just reminded me on that. If you get a wage garnishment with the state of California, here's something that's dramatically different with California compared to the IRS. If you get a wage garnishment from the IRS, you can work with the IRS to get that removed. Get into an installment agreement, and they will remove the wage garnishment. Not so with the state of California. If the state of California, if you've done nothing and they finally get a wage garnishment on you, that is not going to be removed. Period. Will not be removed until one of two things. Either you prove that you don't owe the money or you pay it in full.
Oof.
So that wage garnishment is stuck. You're stuck in it. Now, it may be possible to reduce the amount of the wage garnishment. Give our office a call if that's your situation, but they are not going to remove it. So I tell people time and time again, when it comes to the state of California, deal with it before it becomes a wage garnishment, and deal with it before it becomes a bank levy. And let's talk a little bit about bank levies, Andrew. If you get a bank levy with the state of California, Andrew, how long do you got to do something about that?
I tell people less than 10 days.
Yeah. It's 10 days specifically, but the reason Andrew's saying less than 10 days, and I normally tell them 7 business days, is because, and I've had this with multiple clients where they waited to the tail end, and I tell them, getting the bank levy, getting that money released from the bank back in, so you can use it. And Andrew will explain what actually happens there in a second. So to get that money back, we can do that pretty quickly. We have the phone numbers. We know who to call to get that money released from that bank levy. The problem is that even though we can get the state to do it and to fax your bank typically the same day to release the money, sometimes it takes the bank's legal department 24 to 72 hours for them to internally release the money. And if that does not get processed in time and you waited till the tail end, what could happen? Your bank could be holding your release. One department where they got word from California that they released the money, but the other department has already released it to California.
Mm.
And here's the other thing, Andrew, and I don't know if I told you this, that the state of California as well, when that money gets released to the state of California, so basically they put the money on hold at the state,
mm-hmm.
and then you didn't do nothing in those 10 days, so the money got sent. It doesn't go directly to the state of California. We found out this the hard way. It actually goes through a third-party processing center. The money goes there. It gets mailed there, like a physical check. I think that's what the guy said. It gets mailed there. And then it takes them 30 to 60 days to process that, to mail it to the state of California.
Wow.
So you may be calling California like you and I've had this. People said, well, they took money out of my bank account. It was sent, but I'm calling the California and they said that they don't have it. Well, that's the reasoning. It's the transit time for it to finally get there and get processed. It takes time. Time.
So in summary, as soon as you get a wage garnishment or a levy in your account, you need to be calling one of us like today, as fast as possible.
Yeah. Andrew, I said that you'd bring it up. That was I talking about the 10 days, the bank levy, or I covered that already, huh?
Yeah, you basically covered all of that.
When you're doing
the same way, except you have a little bit longer of a time frame to help get your money.
That's right. That's smart, Andrew. With the IRS, you got 21 days to be able to deal with that. So,
right.
Well, we're coming up here to almost the half hour, but I just wanted to let you guys know that me and Andrew are here for both you guys. If you if you got a question that you want us to answer on it, go to questions@taxdebtbook.com or questions@taxdebtconsultant.com. We'll answer your questions. Andrew, why don't I have, if you want to pick up Andrew's book, you can pick it up at, go to his website, Samaniego Tax Solutions, to pick up his book. And if you want to pick up my main book, is taxdebtbook.com. Andrew, you know what? This is exciting because Andrew's sister Bella, she just finished her first academic year and just wanted to show you where she gets to go. She's leaving there today, or leaving there in the morning. She's going to be on this thing. Let's see. How do I share my screen here? There we go. Bella gets to travel on this ship here. Let me get rid of this.
Is there any showers
on there? It's called the Tall Ship Eagle. So she's going to be on that for 6 weeks along the East Coast, going from Savannah, Georgia, all the way down below Florida, ends up in Louisiana, then back to, I believe it's back to Georgia for the next 6 weeks. So Bella, I know she likes watching these too. If you're watching this, Bella, we hope you have a safe voyage. Is there specific terms when you go out to sea, Andrew?
Underway.
What's the word? When you go underway, safe voyage, I guess.
Fair winds and following seas.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. I knew there was something like that.
Yeah.
What's really cool about this ship too, it is actually the ship that the U.S. got from Nazi Germany. It was a war prize. So this was Hitler's ship to train their navy, and now the U.S. Coast Guard trains their officers on it. So.
And if you ever get a chance to go on it, there's a bunch of German phrasing in.
Oh yeah, that's right.
On the woodwork and metalwork on there, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, we actually we had a chance to do that down in San Diego. She was on it for a week on the West Coast, but she's going to be 6 weeks is a long time. Andrew was on a destroyer for a year. He's like, yeah, that's not very long, right? So with that, guys, have a wonderful weekend. Andrew, you have a safe and fun trip in Mexico. And actually, Mom's coming over to take care of the grandbaby, take care of Kai here today. And I think I'm going to come by this weekend and just visit as well. So with that, guys, have a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. Hug your mom, take flowers to your mom. Just think about your mom if your mom's not here, or touch base with somebody who acted like a mom for you. With that, bye-bye for now.